Okay, so let's have a look at what we know so far about this new game from Klang Games that I'm personally very excited about. I'm hoping there's a bunch of amazing features that are going to be there that we haven't seen in other games, and hoping that this is going to be such a vast planetary universe that we get to play in that it's going to be a lot of fun for all of us. So let's have a look. So this is Seed, the teaser that they sent out that's been on the website for a long time and not much else. But the idea being that, we've messed up Earth completely. It's dead. Everybody wants to get off, and now we all leave, or our seedlings leave, taking with them hopefully some remnants of Earth, and they go hundreds of years into the future and arrive at a new planet. And there's a couple of things that the game developers are promising for us. So you can see the exploration of a living, breathing exoplanet. You manage your seedlings, you forge your relationships. There's maybe some survival fighting, maybe there's an economy, maybe there's a marketplace. There's still a lot of questions unanswered, but let's have a look at some of the screenshots they've made available and see if we can figure out a couple of things about the game. So one of the first things they mention is that it's endless exploration of a living, breathing exoplanet. So when you arrive, as far as we can see from the little bit of information that's available, you will have two seedlings that you can set up in this new world. They have different sort of characteristics than what you would normally find for your in-game players. Where in this case, even if you are not logged in and you are not actively playing, the game continues. So your seedlings will work, they will get mad, they will get tired, they will sleep, they will harvest food, they will maybe fight, they'll get into trouble, all sorts of different things that can happen, and we still have to see what all of that would be. But this, as far as we can see, is sort of your basic starting point. You have your seedling pod on the left hand side, and you have a fire, which is obviously the first thing that you'll create in your tent, and that's where you start. So let's have a look at what happens next. Now, from the different screenshots they've made available, there's a lot of questions. What are all these things that's in the screenshot? Is it battery? Is it some sort of energy? Is it some sort of survival gear? Is it storage? It looks quite high tech, and presumably, when you land it here hundreds of years into the future, you have some technological advances, but we still have to see what that might be. So over time, your little setup would grow. You'd have more seedlings. We're assuming that your seedlings will breed if you keep them happy and fed, and they don't get thirsty or tired, or they don't get attacked by whatever's out there. And you'll start a little tribe or a little clan that hopefully your seedlings will be part of. Now the visual style that they've chosen is fairly simple and understandable, that this is such a vast world that they're not spending too much time on all the little details of the planet itself, but more on the gameplay. But again, we'll have to see what happens in the real game. So you have your two seedlings. Here's some of the older screenshots as well. And you have to manage your seedlings and forge a relationship. So this is a big part of the game, where once you've set up your basic site, with your tent, you may be producing some food, you've got energy for lighting and cooking and so on. We see some of the equipment they have here, but it's not clear what that specifically is. Is this a mixer? Is it a 3D printer? Is it, I don't know, some sort of energy device? Does it teleport you to other areas on the planet? We don't know yet. what they have shown is that you start off with quite basic tools. So presumably you'll be farming, you'll be cutting down trees and using the wood, you may be doing some mining, but we'll have to see in the game. Here's some other equipment that they made available. This is all around wood, so presumably you can use that to build certain structures, but we don't know what the limitations of that is. Here's another one showing the seedling with some of the equipment. Is that a concrete mixer to use it for building, or is it some sort of oven, or we're not sure. And the devs have been fairly quiet up to now on what they've answered in detail. A lot of the questions on the community Discord not answered. The answers are a little vague. They promise that maybe down the line they'll look at certain things, but nothing fixed in stone. So what's the purpose of the game? Well, one of the things that immediately is an issue is there seems to be some kind of monsters or threats in the planet, but we're not sure whether these guys are friendly. This Yeti that's there with the other creature, brown creature, little critter that lies at his feet, we don't know, whether they're going to be out to get your seedlings, or whether they're going to be there for, I don't know, providing support or protection, or is this the meat that the seedlings will eat? We've had a couple of different examples. These brown guys look like frogs, or maybe they jump. Not sure whether it's a kind of bird, but if you look at this screenshot, that looks a bit like an infestation or an attack of some sort. But again, we're not sure. Are those sheep, those white squares on the left there? We'll still have to see. But the one thing that's clear is these creatures, they get big. I mean, this guy is enormous, and if you have a look at those teeth, he's definitely not a vegetarian. Also, if in this screenshot as well, you can see just in the middle there, the same guy, I mean, he's almost 2.5 times the size of the trees. So that to me is quite scary. If you two little seedlings with just maybe a saw and a spear to protect yourself. This is another one, not sure what these are, but presumably what they have on their backs is some sort of camouflage. So, okay, why would you camouflage, on your back? Maybe so that something that's a lot taller than you, looking down at you, doesn't spot you and doesn't want to eat you. So, again, we're not sure. But that's not the only big guys in this world. Here's another one. Looks quite menacing. Don't know what's on his back, but obviously he's hungry, he's got to eat something. So then colonization through collaboration is another one that they mention on the website. So presumably once you've established your tribe, your clan, you've got a couple of seedlings going, you've got food production going, you'll start interacting with other seedlings. The idea being that in this world over time, we'll be able to set up nations with thousands, even hundreds of thousands of seedlings, maybe on this planet, and there'll need to be some sort of cooperation. You won't be able to do everything with your seedlings, just like in normal day-to-day life. There's got to be certain seedlings that focus on food production, other seedlings that focus on protection, maybe like a military. But we'll have to see. The little bit of information we have, as you can see here, is not a lot explaining what each of these elements does. Obviously there's certain food items we have to learn about, but there's the basics: trees, grass, and not sure how do we go from there, whether we start mining. But another thing in one of the videos that they show is that your seedlings go through a normal daily cycle. They have sleep cycle, they have a work cycle, they'll need to rest, and what the devs have indicated is that if you overwork your seedlings, they will be affected by that. Their production will be affected, their happiness will be affected, and there will be a knock on to other things. So if you send your seedlings on a quest into the wilderness and you don't provide food for them, at some point they might just abandon the quest. They might, commit crime to get food or attack other seedlings, because keep in mind, you don't manage every single action that these seedlings do. You don't have that level of control. You can merely guide them sort of in the general direction. So here's an indication that you'll be able to start building bigger structures. This looks like a house, for example. And then over time, these structures have evolved in the screenshots that they've shared. But here you can see also start being more permanent structures, getting a little bit bigger, and in a certain amount of time, we're not sure how long, you start creating a little village or a small town. And presumably all these structures have different purposes. Maybe some of them are medical facilities, or even research, or maybe production facilities. You see some farms dotted in this landscape, but again, we don't know what the ratios are. They've shared some other visuals with us as well. You can see here just some quick shots of the general day-to-day activities of the seedlings. These guys have backpacks on, so presumably you'll have a limited amount of stuff that your seedlings can carry with them, and not sure whether you have to instruct them to pack for a journey. How that's affected, we'll have to see. So then they mention a vast player-driven economy, and I think this is where it gets exciting, because here's a whole range of different equipment and the devices that you probably will be able to use. You can see some of the screenshots of inside the buildings. I mean, there's quite a lot of detail here. There's a kitchen, there's a dining table, so presumably there will be some activities around cooking and leisure activities. Maybe they watch TV, we don't know. Who's going to make the TV? Who's going to make the shows? This looks like a slightly different home environment. There's a bed, there's a kitchen again, but this has been an update on some of the designs that they've made over time. This looks like a research facility. Maybe there's a water tanks on the left there. Maybe this is a production facility for equipment. Maybe you do 3D printing, maybe you manufacture food here. We're not sure, we'll have to see. But here you can see the buildings also get bigger. On the left there, that looks like a hospital with a patient capacity of 240. I mean, that's quite big. So this town must house a couple of hundred people, and it's not clear whether this is one player's section or whether this is a couple of players working together. What they've mentioned is that the family name that your seedlings will use will connect them to you, so you'll be able to see, well, okay, this seedling belongs to the Donaldson family and therefore connected to a specific player. Over time, the towns will grow, will become cities. You can see quite a number of different types of buildings here. There's still some food production in these cylindrical devices that they have there, but I don't see any vehicles, so it's not clear how your seedlings will move around. Presumably they'll have to be able to cover certain distances. They'll have to be able to mine ore and metals and materials and bring that back to the village or the town for rework. We'll have to see. This is just a screenshot at night, but the game really starts to get a little depth at this point, which looks very promising. Then they also say the fight for survival. So now in the center on this globe is presumably where you would start. So there's a lot of planet to cover. They are not kidding when they're saying they're building a vast exoplanet world where there's space for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of seedlings, clans, tribes, companies, federations, groups that will either peacefully trade with each other, or maybe wage war. If you look at the Discord channels, there's some groups that say they are out for war and destruction and pillaging and crime, and others saying no, they are peaceful, they want to work with other groups, develop governments and companies with laws and rules and regulations. We'll have to see. There's still a lot of unanswered questions about this game, but it looks set to be exciting. That's definitely the case. And like we said, a lot of questions still unanswered, not very clear out of the screenshots, although they've mentioned things like weapons and crime and military and government, but not clear how that's going to be implemented. But bottom line is, I don't think we can wait for this game. There's a lot of excitement building amongst the small community of potential players, and we'll have to see what happens. Put your comments with this video. Very interested to see what everybody thinks about this game, and we'll try and keep you posted on what's happening as information becomes available. We'll have to see. So thanks for watching.